You don't fail in interviews because you are not qualified. You failed because you're not prepared. Your job can change, but your growth never stops. This is the Career Upgrade Series. Let's unlock what's next. Hi everyone, happy Saturday and welcome to the Career Upgrade Series. And today's episode 10. So I hope everyone is ready for this Saturday. Hope you have or you will be having a great weekend. All right. So today's episode, what we're going to share is really all about the top 10 interview questions, right? And how to answer them properly. Okay? Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, you don't actually fail in interviews because you're not qualified. Okay, most of the time, interview failures is because happens because most applicants are not prepared, and that's based on my experience when I was interviewing in job fairs and everything. Okay, in my past job. So the main lesson here is this: the important thing to answer. Okay, now how do you answer this? Before I will share the top 10 interview questions and how to answer them. Generally, the main lesson here is you have to answer them using the STAR method. All right, hold on. Let me see if I have it in here. Yeah, I have it in here. Okay, anyway, it's all really about using the STAR method. Okay, so what is STAR? STAR is actually a technique on how you are going to answer interview questions. Okay, um, thing is, it's used to see your behavior, how you're going to handle the different situations. Okay? Because STAR, when you say STAR, S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, and R stands for result. So situation means you have to tell what the situation is, like an example of a situation or a scenario. And then what T is task, like what task did you do? Okay, or oh no, sorry, what was the task that's being given to you? This is your job, right? And A, what action did you do? And R, what was the result? Okay, that is the most effective way to answer interview questions in general. So to answer, so the way we're going to present this to you is we're going to present this to you using the STAR method. I'm going to show you the common question and how to answer them, the tips on how to answer them, and an example on how to answer them using the STAR method or the STAR structure of answering. Okay, so are you ready? Let's go to the slides. All right, so with no further delay, let's go to question. The top first question is very common is this. There, I hope you can see it. So tell me about yourself now. That's really, really common. Very, very common interview question. Okay. So you see, most applicants lose recruiters in the first 30 seconds in answering of this question. Why? Because they do not tell their story, their life story, or their career story. You have to tell your growth story. How did you grow? Okay. So for example, you can start with your current role. Okay. And then after you stated your current role, or your last experience, right? Or I mean, last work experience. After you stated your previous role or previous work experience, highlight at least 1 to 2 measurable results. Again, measurable result. Okay, and end that by connecting your story to the job that you are applying to. Okay, right. So again, tell me about yourself. Now, as you can see in the examples on the slide, it's this one, right? If you can see there, if you can read this example, as you can see, it says, if I were the one who answered it, I would answer it like this, for example. So tell me about yourself. I would answer it like this. In my last internship, internship. That's the situation. I was assigned to manage inventory updates. See, that's a task. I noticed manual errors slowing the team. So I created a simple Excel tracker. That's the action you made. That improved accuracy by 40%. That's the result. Again, measurable results. That experience taught me the value of using data and initiate to solve real problems. Something I'm excited to bring here. All right. So that's telling about yourself, the situation, what the task that's been given to you, what action did you do, and the result. Remember, when you answer STAR method, it's always put a positive result, never negative. Okay. All right. So let's go to the second question. The second common question is this. Okay. Question number two is this. What is your weakness? Okay. Now, answering this question, you have to reframe into a strength in progress. Okay. As I mentioned this before in my previous videos, no one is perfect. Okay. But anyone is, but no one is perfect, but anyone can progress. Remember that. Okay. No one is perfect, but anyone can progress in life or can improve, can upgrade. So this question actually traps most applicants. So the secret, just don't deny your weakness. Okay? Just define how you are overcoming your weakness. Okay. So what's my tip here? First, you need to choose a real but manageable weakness. Okay? Try to think of what that weakness is. And then show your self awareness that you know it and then the actions that you did to overcome it. And make sure that you end it with a positive result, as I previously mentioned, or positive result or improving result. That's already a positive result. Not necessary end result, but at least improving result to make it sound positive. Okay, so to answer this question, what is your weakness? Here's an example answer. When I started working, that's the situation. For example, I had trouble saying no to extra tasks. Okay, so that's the task that you were given. I realized it affected my focus. And so I began setting clear priorities and communicating deadlines early. That's the action that you made. Now, my quality has improved and my team trusts my time management more. That's the positive result. Okay? Now, are you seeing this? I hope you're catching up. All right, so let's go to the third common interview question. This one. Hey, so of course, if what is your weakness is one of the common interview question. Another common interview question is this: what are your strengths? My tip here is that you have to choose a strength that matches the job requirement. Okay, you have to choose the strength that matches the job requirements. Okay, like for example, in this right here. So, what are your strengths? The answer, example answer is this. At school, that's the situation. I led a five-member team. That's the task. And coordinated weekly reports. That's the action that you did, which helped us finish 2 weeks early. That's a positive result. Okay. So that actually is an example on how to answer this question. What are your strengths? Okay. Common question number four. Okay. Why should we hire you? This is where actually you sell your value product. Okay. This is where you sell your value. So you're not just applying for a job, okay? You are presenting your value product. This is your chance to sell what makes you unique. So my tip here is this. Think like a problem solver, okay? What can you fix or what can you improve? Like quantify your results, like show proof, not promises, okay? Use confident. but humble language, of course. For example, you would say, I believe, I've learned, I can help your team, etc. Okay? Confident but humble language. So, for example, to answer the question, why should we hire you? Here is the example answer. At my previous company, that's the situation, I noticed delays in client responses. That's a task. I proposed an email response tracker. That's the action that you did, which improved turnaround time by 35%. That's a positive result. I believe I can bring the same efficiency and initiative to your team. Okay? So that's how you answer why should we hire you? Okay, another common question. Question number 5. Okay, where do you see yourself 5 years from now or in 5 years? Important thing here, you have to show your ambition and it has to align to the company. Okay, not necessarily to the role, but to the company's vision, mission, goal. Okay, that's how you answer this question. So this question is not about predicting the future. Of course, no one can predict the future. It's about showing that your goals grow with the company. Again, it's not about predicting the future. It's about showing that your goals grow with the company. Okay. So, meaning, my tip here is you have to connect your career goals to the company's vision, as I mentioned earlier. You have to show steady growth from learning, contribution, leadership. Avoid vague answers like, I just want to be successful. No. Okay. It has to be company focused. All right. So, to answer the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Here's an example answer. In my last role, that's the situation. I set a goal to master data analysis tools. That's a task. I completed 3 certifications. That's the action that you did, and used them to automate our reports, saving 5 hours work, 5 hours weekly. That's a positive result. So in 5 years, I see myself leading a data team here in this great company, right? Helping your department make smarter, faster decisions. Right? That's just an example, right? But I hope you're trying to get the gist of it. Okay, so what is the sixth common question? Here we go. There. Right, this is one of the most common interview questions. Describe a challenge you faced and how you overcame it. My tip here is that employers want problem solvers, okay? Not complainers, okay? So never bad mouth here, okay? Make sure you remember that. Okay, so to answer this question, describe a challenge you faced and how you overcame it. Here's an example. Answer. During a project deadline, that's the situation, our server crashed. Oh no, that's like an unexpected task that you have to overcome. I worked overnight to cover backups. That's the action that you did. And we met the client's deadline on time. Probably, I would probably say that. But that's the positive result. Okay? That's how you answer the question. All right, let's go to the seventh question. Tell me about a time you work in a team. Okay. Now, the tip here to answer this question is you have to highlight your communication and collaboration skills, your team dynamics, and your teamwork skills. So, to answer the question, tell me about a time you work in a team. This is an example answer. Okay. In college, that's the situation. We built a mobile app. That's your task. I coordinated with developers and testers. That's the action that you did. And we presented a working prototype that won the best project. That's the positive results. All right? All right. No further delays. Go to common question number 8. 8. So, how do you handle pressure or stress there? Now, my tip here is that this question actually measures your critical thinking skills. Okay? So, how do you make a decision during critical times. Okay, that's very, very important for companies. So, meaning you have to show composure, you have to show that you're relaxed, and then you have to have a clear thinking. That's the most important thing if you want to give a good impression to answer this question. All right, so to answer the question, how do you handle pressure or stress? Here's an example answer. During month end closing, that's the situation. We face overlapping reports. That is the task. I prioritize deadlines and ask for resource support. That's the action that you did, which help us complete all submission on time. That's positive results. All right, let's go to the ninth question. We're almost there. Right, the ninth most common question is this. So why did you leave your last job? Or like, why are you leaving? Okay, let's say if you haven't resigned yet. Okay, now my tip here is that you have to keep this as positive as you can because you need to focus and answering this question, you need to focus on your growth, not frustrations. Okay, so again, never badmouth when answering this question. Never badmouth your previous employer. I mean, in general, you should never badmouth your previous employer to be safe. Okay, so how do you answer the question, why did you leave your last job or why are you leaving? Here's an example answer. At my previous role, that's the situation, I achieved my main goal, that's a task. I'm now looking for a company where I can grow technically. That's your action, right? And contribute long term. That's the positive result. Okay? All right, now we are in the last 10th common question. So what is the 10th most common question, interview question? Here it is. Do you have any questions for us? is it are you surprised? But that's actually part of a common interview question. Okay, so my tip here is you have to ask questions. Okay, why? Because asking questions, when they ask you if you have any questions, it means you show that you are interested, you show that you have researched the company. Okay, so you have to research the company when answering this question. Okay, so to answer the common question, how do you have any questions for us? Is this one right here. So, yes, based on my company's recent expansion, okay, that is the situation. How do you plan to scale your consumer experience? That's the task. I'm asking because I'd love to contribute ideas for your digital process. So it's basically the action that you did and also, of course, the result that you're looking for. Okay? So again, answering common these common 10 questions, the most important thing is always use the STAR method to structure your answer uh, correctly and safely. Okay? And again, if you want to know more, then buy my book today. Don't forget to leave a review, a book review. I'll put the link in the description, and of course, subscribe for future episodes and join our Facebook community so we can continue engage. Okay, if you need continuous guidance, I'll be more than happy to help you. Okay, I'll just put all of those links in the video description. All right, so we're done with the top 10 most common interview questions. So let's go to the myth and facts. Here we go. Myth busting time. Our myth for today is this: the more you talk, the more impressive you will sound. Is that a myth or a fact? What do you think? Of course, it's a myth. Okay. The fact is, clarity is actually the one that beats quantity. A short, structured story always wins over a long explanation. Okay, remember this. Clarity beats quantity. Okay, make it short. It's okay to answer short. You don't need to make your answers long, as long as it's direct to the point. Okay, okay. So let's go to the Q&A. First question. So what if I forget my answer or get nervous? Okay, that's normal. Okay, if you're not used to interview question, that's normal. Important thing is you have to learn how to pause. You have to learn how to breathe. You have to learn how to smile. Okay, you pause, breathe, and you smile. Okay. Now you can actually say, that's a good question. Let me think for a moment. It's okay to say that to the HR, okay? Because it shows your composure, okay, not weakness. All right. So breath, pause, breathe, and smile. All right, let's go to the second question. Should I memorize my answers word for word? No. That's the direct answer. I would say no. Because memorize your stories. Um, don't memorize it. No scripts, okay? Not scripts, but structures, okay? Bullet points or highlights. That's the most important thing because when you do bullet points and highlights, it's easier to recall when you're doing this interview, when you answer these common interview questions, okay? And again, use the STAR method because it will help you speak naturally while staying focused on the results. Okay, so question number three. So how long should each answer be? Around 1 to 2 minutes, really. You know, okay, it really depends, but um, that would probably be, I would say, just a rough, estimate. Again, don't make it long, as long as it's direct to the point. Okay, and it's actually enough to show the context, to show your action, to show measurable results. As long as it doesn't matter if it's that short, as long as it's structured stories actually beat long explanations. Okay. All right. So, what is our takeaway for today? Okay. So, the takeaway for today is this: the best interview answers don't come from memory. Okay. They come from clarity, they come from real world experience. Okay. So, again, if you want to pass an interview question, preparation is one thing. It's very important, right? Confidence is very important. Structure is very important. Okay, but not memorizing your answers. Okay, just prepare by preparing a bullet points. Just prepare by practicing. Keep practicing using the STAR method. Okay, and and of course, make your message clear and direct to the point. And the most important thing is be honest. Because when you're honest, it's pretty easy to explain. All right. So be honest. And anyway, the interviewer, they know if you are telling a lie. I know because I used to be a job interviewer. Okay. Okay. So comment star, and if you will start practicing, answering using the star method today. Okay. I hope you learned today's episode, and again, happy weekend to everyone. Again, this is Coach Paul. If you like the video, please do subscribe, share, and like. Okay, and I do appreciate it. I'll put all the relevant links in the video description. Again, thank you so much, guys, and see you next Saturday, 8 p.m. Philippine time. All right, my name is Coach Paul. Bye bye. Happy weekend, guys. Bye.